Hi everyone, welcome to this demo of ExploreX, a country explorer app. My name is Eunice Adeosi Klimaradi, and today I'll walk you through the app's features, how it works, and dive into the code that powers it. And by the end of this video, you would have a clear understanding of how ExploreX lets users explore information about countries worldwide, compare metrics, and learn about demographics, geography, and culture using the REST countries API. Let's get started. The instructions for this summative assignment was to come up with an app idea and select any free API of our choice to build a mobile app with 3 or more screens. And this was just a project that provides hands-on experience in making HTTP requests and working with RESTful APIs. So for me, I chose the REST countries API, and my app idea is ExploreX, which you're going to hear more about going forward. Now let's go into the code and the app demo, but first I'm going to be starting with my GitHub repo readme. Right here is my GitHub repo and it is individual assignment 2, so we're going to go to the readme real quick. So like I said, my app idea is ExploreX. ExploreX is a country explorer app. So ExploreX is a mobile application built with Flutter, and it allows users to explore detailed information about countries worldwide. And also by using the REST countries API, the app provides a comprehensive overview of demographics, geography, and culture for each country, depending on what was called. Users can also search for countries, they can view the individual details of each country, and they can compare countries side by side and also keep track of their comparison history for reference. So the purpose of this app is to allow users to search for and explore key data about any country globally, also to compare countries based on specific metrics such as population, area, languages, currencies, and also to track their country comparison history with a history screen, right? So like I said earlier, I used the API that I chose to use was the REST countries API, which serves as the backbone of the app, and it provides real-time country data. So about the API, this is the base URL right here, and these are the key endpoints: the /name/country. The country here can also be called the query. So depending on what the user enters, the name of the country that they enter, they are able to retrieve detailed information. And if to check the JSON format of all of the data that the API has, you just do /API. So let's try that out. I'm going to copy this right now. And to check for country is /name/ I'm gonna do /name/Nigeria. You can see this is the JSON format for the data regarding Nigeria. But if I want to check for all of the countries worldwide, I'm just gonna change Nigeria to all, and I can see it is a very long file that contains details about all the countries worldwide. Going back to the README, the API provides comprehensive country data like population, like I mentioned earlier. So the assignment says we must have at least 3 screens, but for me, I have 4 screens, and I'm going to take us through the 4 screens. The first screen is the home or the search screen, where users can search for a country by name. They can also select 2 countries that they want to compare, and it's also going to display a list of countries with basic information such as their name, flag, and region at first sight when they log into the home screen. The second screen is the country details screen. That is, if they just want to check information based on one country, they're just going to click on that specific country, and details about the country is going to pop up, and you can see the widgets that were used as seen in this README. Then for the compare screen, where they have to compare details between 2 countries, this screen allows users to compare 2 countries side by side on various key metrics that is being depicted on that screen. And it also includes a reload or reset button where they can clear the comparison and start fresh from the home page. Also, the history screen, I made use of bottom sheet, and it displays the list of the users' previous country comparisons. It allows users to view and revisit past comparisons easily. And like I said earlier, it is shown using a bottom sheet, which provides a smooth and intuitive way for them to access the historical data within the comparison screen. So those are the four screens that I have. Then for the architecture and state management, I use the provider state management, which ensures that user selections are consistent across different screens. So the state is shared between the home, country details, compare, and history screens, and it ensures smooth and efficient data flow. So just to install and set up the app, all you need is Flutter and an emulator or a physical Android device. And to run the app, these are the several processes of cloning, navigating. Then for the challenges that I experienced while building this app was managing states across screens, and the solution was using the provider state management, which really helped. And then the second one was how to show the history, the comparison history, and it took me time to be able to pen it down and get the idea to implement bottom sheet interaction, and that was the solution to still make the UI very easy for the users and still make it lovely. Then for future improvement, of course, I'm still gonna keep working on this app and the future improvement. So for my code, I only specified specific comparisons that I want the user to see, but in future I'm going to add more comparisons like GDP, literacy rate, climate data, as I'm always interested in climate related projects. Also, I would love to add a map view. There is an idea that I have that the women tech makers used on their websites for one of their campaigns that they did for International Women's Day. So I'm going to use that map view also, where users can, use their hands to rotate the globe and select a particular country, which is going to be lovely. Also, instead of making the app to be online so that other people can also local people can have access to this, I would also introduce offline support and also, user preferences, add abilities for users to bookmark their favorite countries so that they can easily access these details later on. Now let's go into my VS Code. This is the Flutter project right here, individual assignment 2. So in the lib folder, I utilized modular structure of codes. As you can see, I have models, providers, screens, and services before my main.dat. So in this main.dat file, this is where the root of the application is being defined and all of that. Then going into the services, this is the API service.dat, where the API was called and giving instructions, and this is just where it checks if the request made by the user was successful, and it decodes the JSON response body into a dynamic list, and it also throws error. So I also used error handling right here to throw any error during the request or processing. Then the next folder is the screens folder. Starting with the home screen, that's the first screen that the user sees when they enter into the app, and this is where they can make researches. The search bar works perfectly, where they can filter countries, and also error handling right here, where error will be displayed if fetching the countries fails. Moving on, the history screen, this is where they get to see the history of all the comparisons that they have done or they have ever done on the app. And this is where I implemented the bottom sheet to show the history comparison. Then the country details, I said earlier that if they don't want to compare the details between two countries, they can only see the details for a specific country that is selected, and this is where I wrote the code for everything. Now the last screen is the compare screen, where they get to compare two countries side by side and the details of each of the countries, and these are the codes that are written there. Now moving on to the next directory is the providers, where I made use of the provider state management. The provider state management to manage the country comparison and history. That's for this compare provider. Then the other provider further I have is this one, country provider, to list and store all of the fetched countries from the API. And lastly, I have the models folder and in the models folder is the country model. Country model maps the API response data to that object. It also helps me to easily pass JSON data to use it throughout the app. For example, if you extract properties like the country name or like population or like flag, right? So it helps us to pass the JSON data and use it throughout the app. Now moving on with seeing the UI design, I'm going to open my terminal and run the code. So first I'm going to choose a device here, and I'm going to choose the Pixel 7 Pro. Alright, so the app has come up now. This is the home screen or the search screen. At the app bar, we have the name of the app and just like a statement of what it does. And like I said, it displays details about all the countries worldwide. So it is a very, very, very long list if we keep scrolling down. And yeah, I made use of list view for it to be like this. So going back to the top, I'm going to try select. I set the error to be that you can only compare 2 countries, and if you select more than 2 countries, it will throw an error. So right now let's compare Algeria and Andorra. But right now probably I didn't know I could only select 2 countries, and I select, let's say, Anguilla, and it's gonna show this error right here. It says you can only compare 2 countries at a time, and you see that the 3rd country would not be selected. And just before we go to compare any country, I want to show how the search countries bar is working. So right here, let's say I want to compare Nigeria and Rwanda together. I'm going to come here and type in Nigeria. So I'm going to come in here now. I didn't even type Nigeria, finish, and it brought out Nigeria. So I'm going to select Nigeria. Then I'm going to use this X that is there right now. I'm going to use it to clear the search bar, and I can click on Ghana. Or sorry, I said Rwanda. So I'm just going to come back here and type Rwanda. So right now I want to compare Nigeria and Rwanda together, so I'm going to click on Rwanda as well. And so I have selected 2 countries now, and I can proceed to click on this floating action button here, which is to compare the countries. So when I click on compare, it takes me to the screen where I get to compare the countries. So remember, I selected Nigeria and Rwanda, and this is the information that is being displayed. The capital of Nigeria is Abuja, that of Rwanda is Kigali. This is the population for Nigeria, population for Rwanda, and Nigeria is definitely bigger. Then the region, Nigeria is in Africa, so is Rwanda. The languages in Nigeria, like the official language, is English. While for Rwanda, it is English, French, and Kia Rwanda. And we can also see the flags being displayed. So let's say I want to see like the history of the country that I have searched for. This is the bottom sheet right here that shows it the history. So now when I click on this view history bottom sheet right here, it's going to display the history. And you can see the first country I selected to compare was Nigeria versus Rwanda. So it tells me that I have previously compared Nigeria versus Rwanda together. And for me to leave here, I can either come here and tap up here where the comparison history doesn't show, or I click on close and it's going to close it. Then there is another icon right here, which is the reload icon. So instead of me navigating back to the first or to the home screen for me to select new countries, I can just click on reload, and it's going to remove all of the countries that is in this compare country screen and take me back to the home screen. So the last thing I searched for was Rwanda, right? And because I reloaded the screen in the compare country screen, you can see that this Rwanda is no longer checked because it has been reloaded. So that was where the provider state management helped. So if I want to click on this X again, I'm just going to click on it, and it's going to clear the Rwanda and take me back to where I can see the full countries. Now to check just the detail for one country, let's say I want to check the detail for Ghana. So I'm gonna click on Ghana right here, and I'm gonna just, instead of me checking Ghana for me to compare it with another country, I'm just gonna click on this card, this Ghana card right here, and it's going to open the country details. So for the country details as well as the comparison that you saw earlier, it displays the capital, the population, the region, the languages, and that's because I defined it that way in my country model file. Now going back, clear, and yeah, that is basically everything about the app. The search logic, the different screens, the compare floating action, the view history, bottom sheets. That is basically everything. So if I click on Andorra, you can see the details. If I click on Antarctica, so from the data set, Antarctica doesn't have any capital, but it has the region and the population of people living there, 1,000. Very interesting. So I could just go on to search about Antarctica and try to see. I'm trying to look for, so as long as you keep on scrolling and you keep on scrolling and you keep on, this is Cameroon right here. So it gives us the capital of Cameroon, the population, region, and English. Let me search for the United States. Yes, so if I click on the United States right now, the capital is Washington, D.C., the region is Americas, the language is English, and the population. Then I go back, click on United Kingdom, the region is Europe, and the capital is London. Then when I click on UAE, United Arab Emirates, the capital is Abu Dhabi, the region is Asia, then the languages is Arabic. So that's basically everything about the app. If you want to check out the code, this is the GitHub repo. Thank you so much for watching my demo video presentation.